Listen carefully, my child, because Archangel Michael is standing before you right now with both hands full. What I carry in my left hand will restore your body, and what I hold in my right hand will fill your house. Today is the appointed hour, and I will not let you walk past it without knowing what belongs to you. Before I go any further, I need you to understand something that most people never grasp. The exhaustion you have been dragging through your mornings, the tightness in your shoulders that never fully releases, the way your stomach turns every time you open an envelope or check a balance. None of that was supposed to become permanent. You accepted it as your normal, but I never signed that agreement. And tonight, I am tearing up the contract your suffering wrote without my permission. Stay with me through every single word that follows, because I have arranged something for you that cannot be delivered in pieces. It arrives whole, or it does not arrive at all. That is why I need your full attention. Not half of your mind here and the other half already worrying about tomorrow. Tomorrow will receive its own instructions from my hand. Right now, this moment is where the shift begins. I chose you for this word today. Not randomly, not because an algorithm pushed it toward your screen, but because I looked across every soul crying out in silence tonight and my finger landed on you. The one who kept standing when every reason to sit down made perfect sense. The one who smiled at people who had no idea what it cost you to hold your face together. I saw every performance, and I loved you through all of them. But tonight, the curtain comes down and the real restoration walks onto the stage. There is a golden key I have been forging in the furnace of your hardest season, and you could not see it because the fire was too bright and the smoke was too thick. But the fire was never punishment. It was preparation, because only fire can shape gold, and only pressure can reveal what was always inside the diamond. You, my child, have been inside the furnace, and you did not know that I was standing in there with you the entire time. Now the door swings open, and what you carry out of that fire is worth more than everything you lost going in. Your body already knows something is different tonight. Pay attention to the way your breathing just shifted, even slightly. That was not your imagination. That was my presence settling into the room where you sit, and your spirit recognized it before your mind could catch up. I communicate with your body before I communicate with your thoughts, because your body does not argue with me the way your mind does. It simply responds. And tonight, I am asking your entire being to respond to what I am about to release. I have watched you carry a weight that was never assigned to your shoulders. You picked it up because nobody else would, and then you forgot it was not yours. The financial pressure, the physical pain, the emotional fatigue that sits behind your eyes even when you laugh, I cataloged every ounce of it. And I kept a record not to judge you, but to calculate exactly how much relief to pour back into your frame when the hour arrived. That hour is this one. You are not here because you stumbled onto a message at a random time. You are here because I summoned you. The way a father calls his child home when the table has already been set and the plates are full. The feast I prepared does not have an empty chair, because your chair was the first one I placed, and everything on the table was seasoned with your specific hunger in mind. If this word has already reached the place where you needed it most, type Amen in the comments right now. Let that single word become the first stone you lay on the foundation of what I am building for you tonight. Type it without hesitation, because agreement opens doors that effort alone cannot budge. Now, I want to show you what has been happening behind the curtain of your waiting season, because you misread the silence. And I need to correct the record before we move forward. You believed that the months where nothing seemed to change were months where nothing was happening. That conclusion nearly cost you the very thing I was assembling, because doubt almost convinced you to walk away 1 week before the structure was complete. Picture a master builder working underground on a foundation. From the surface, you see nothing. No walls rising, no roof taking shape, no windows reflecting light. All you see is dirt and silence. And if you judge the building by what your eyes can reach, you would say nothing is being built. But everything critical is being built. It is simply being built where you cannot inspect it yet. That is exactly what I have been doing in your life for the past season. Every unanswered prayer was a measurement I was taking. Every closed door was a wall I was reinforcing from the other side. Every morning you woke up feeling stuck was a morning I was pouring concrete into a foundation that will hold the weight of what I am about to place on top of it. And here is what the enemy did not want you to know. The foundation is finished. The underground work is complete. What rises from this point forward will be visible, and it will rise quickly, because I do not build slowly when the base is secure. I build slowly when the base is not ready, and yours is ready. I need to address your body now, because what I am doing tonight is not limited to your bank account or your circumstances. I am reaching into your bones. I am speaking to your nervous system. I am commanding the inflammation that has been camping inside your joints to pack its bags, because its lease has been revoked by a landlord it cannot argue with. You have been living with pain so long that you forgot what freedom felt like. The stiffness in your mornings became routine. The heaviness that settled into your chest after every stressful week became furniture you arranged your life around. You adjusted your schedule to accommodate suffering. You lowered your expectations to fit inside a body that felt like it was shrinking. And you told no one, because the people around you had their own burdens and you did not want to add yours to the pile. But I am not people. I am the one who wired every nerve in your body before you took your first breath. I mapped every blood vessel. I calibrated every heartbeat. And when something goes wrong inside the house I built, I do not call a contractor. I fix it myself. Because no one understands the blueprint better than the architect who drew it. Tonight, I am resetting systems inside you that have been running on emergency power for years. Your adrenal glands have been firing at full capacity since the season of crisis that never fully ended. Your muscles have been gripping as though a threat is always 30 seconds away. Your sleep has been shallow. Not because your bed is uncomfortable, but because your mind never gave your body full permission to let go. I am overriding that pattern right now, not with force, but with the same gentle authority that calmed a raging sea with 3 words. Feel what is happening in your shoulders as I speak. There is a warmth moving through them that you did not manufacture. That is my hand, pressing down the tension that stacked up over hundreds of difficult days. I am not asking you to relax through willpower. I am relaxing you through presence, because my presence does what your effort could never accomplish alone. Your effort was admirable, but it was never sufficient. And admitting that is not weakness. It is wisdom. The same power that straightened a woman who had been bent over for 18 years is moving through your spine right now. The same authority that told a man to pick up his mat and walk is speaking to your limbs tonight. And the same compassion that reached out to touch a leper when everyone else pulled away is reaching toward the parts of your body that you have been ashamed of. The parts that feel broken beyond repair. The parts you stopped praying about because you assumed the answer was always going to be no. My answer tonight is yes. Not a cautious yes with conditions attached. A thundering yes that echoes through every cell of your being. You are being healed. Not because you earned it. Not because your faith was perfect. But because my love for you has no expiration date and my power has no ceiling. Type these words right now. My body is being restored and my table is being set. Speak it into your atmosphere. because when you declare what I am doing, your faith wraps around the blessing like roots wrapping around water. Declaration is not wishful thinking. It is the vocabulary of inheritance. And you have been silent for too long. Now let me take you deeper, because the surface healing is only the porch of the house I am building. What lies behind the front door is where the real transformation lives. You see, your body and your provision have been speaking to each other for years, and most of that conversation has been destructive. When your finances were under pressure, your body absorbed the stress. When your body was in pain, your ability to think clearly about your resources collapsed. They fed each other's misery in a loop that felt impossible to break, because breaking one still left the other intact. That is precisely why I am addressing both at the same time tonight. I am not fixing your wallet and leaving your body groaning. I am not healing your joints and leaving your pantry thin. I understand that you are one person, not a collection of separate problems. And the solution I designed treats you as the whole being you are. Every bone, every bill, every breath, every burden, all of it falls under the jurisdiction of my restoration tonight. The world taught you to solve problems one at a time. Line them up. Prioritize. Attack the most urgent fire first, and hope the others wait their turn. But my methodology is different. I do not triage. I transform. And transformation does not wait in line. It moves through everything simultaneously. Like dawn does not light one tree at a time. It floods the entire landscape at once. That is the kind of breakthrough that is moving toward you right now. Not a patch on one wound. Not a temporary relief check that buys you another 30 days of anxiety. A comprehensive restructuring of your health, your resources, and the way you experience both of them going forward. And it begins, not when you see the first evidence, but when you believe the architect who tells you the blueprint is already approved. Let me tell you how I deliver provision, because your expectation has been shaped by a world that only knows two speeds: feast and famine. You have swung between those extremes for so long that you stopped believing a middle ground existed. 1 month felt abundant, and the next felt like punishment. You received something beautiful, and immediately began counting the days until it would be snatched away. That pendulum is stopping tonight. What I am sending into your life is not a flood. Floods are dramatic, but they destroy the very ground they water. They arrive with force and leave behind mud. You have experienced those kinds of blessings before. The windfall that vanished. The opportunity that burned bright and then burned out. The season that promised everything and delivered a fraction. Those were not my design. Those were the counterfeit, and you mistook them for my pattern. My pattern is the river, steady, constant, carving its path deeper with every passing year. A river does not arrive and leave, it stays. It shapes the landscape around it. Fish live in it. Trees grow beside it. Villages are built along its banks because people trust that it will still be there tomorrow. That is the kind of provision I am routing into your life right now. Not a single event you will spend a week celebrating and a year mourning, but a current that will feed you and your children, and the generations that carry your name long after your hands have rested. You felt something move inside you just now. If a warmth settled in your chest, or tears gathered behind your eyes without an explanation, do not fight it. That is your spirit recognizing the voice of its Father. The body cries when it finally hears the truth it has been starving for. Let those tears fall, because they are not weakness. They are the seal on the covenant I am making with you tonight. I know about the numbers, the ones you run through your head at 2 in the morning when the house is quiet and everyone else is asleep. The calculations you perform under the covers. subtracting what you owe from what you have, and arriving at a negative number that makes your chest tight. You carry a ledger inside your mind that no accountant has ever seen, and the balance always seems to tilt toward shortage. Tonight I am closing that ledger, not because the numbers were wrong, but because the accounting system itself was flawed. You are measuring your provision by what sat in your hand today, when my provision includes what is already in transit. If a cargo ship is 3 days from port carrying everything you ordered, you do not stand on the dock weeping because your warehouse is empty. You wait because you know the delivery is already on the water. And I'm telling you tonight, your ship is not 3 days away. It is pulling into the harbor right now. You can almost hear the horn if you stop counting long enough to listen. The debts that kept you awake are not being ignored. I see every single one of them. But I also see what you cannot see. The provision that is already earmarked for each obligation. Some of it will arrive through channels you expect. A door opening at work. An opportunity you have been praying about. But some of it will arrive through channels that will astonish you, because I love surprising my children with the creativity of my solutions. The answer to your housing need might come through a conversation you have not had yet. The resolution to your medical bill might arrive inside an envelope that does not look like a miracle until you open it. Stay alert, because I am a God who works through details. And if you are not paying attention, you will walk right past the provision I placed in your path. Type these words and let your fingers become instruments of faith. The river has reached my door and it will not dry up. Write it boldly, because the enemy reads your declarations too, and he retreats from a mouth that speaks with the authority of heaven behind it. Now I need to go deeper still, because there is a root system underneath your struggle that has been feeding both the financial pressure and the physical pain. And until I expose it, every healing I offer risks being temporary. I have not brought you this far to give you a bandage. I brought you here to perform surgery. And surgery requires honesty about what is actually growing inside the wound. You have been carrying a belief so deep and so old that you stopped recognizing it as a belief. You started treating it as a fact. And that belief is this: that the good things do not stay, that every season of peace is simply the calm before the next storm, that every blessing has a hidden invoice stapled to the back of it. You learned this belief not from scripture, but from experience. Because good things genuinely did leave. The relationship that felt safe did crumble. The job that seemed secure did vanish. The health you took for granted did deteriorate. And each departure carved a groove into your expectation, until your heart built a fortress around itself and posted a guard at the gate whose only job was to whisper, "Do not trust this. It will leave too." My child, that is the root I am pulling out tonight. Not the pain in your body, not the pressure in your wallet. Those are branches. The root is your expectation of loss, and as long as that root stays planted, every blessing I send will be received with one hand while the other hand grips the exit plan. You cannot hold a gift and a getaway bag at the same time. One of them must be set down. And tonight, I am asking you to set down the bag. I am not asking you to pretend those losses never happened. Pretending would be dishonest. And I have never once asked you to lie about your history. What I am asking you to do is separate the chapter from the story. A chapter is a section. A story is a lifetime. The chapters where good things left were real chapters, but they were not the final ones. And the mistake your heart made was reading a middle chapter and concluding it was the last page. This is the last page of that volume. Tonight I am closing the book where departure was the recurring theme, and I am opening a new volume where the recurring theme is permanence. What comes into your life from this point forward will not behave like what came before. It will not arrive nervous. It will not pace by the door looking for its coat. It will sit down, unpack, and make itself at home. because what I establish stays established. I do not plant trees that I intend to uproot. I do not pour foundations that I plan to crack, and I do not place blessings in your hand that I designed to slide through your fingers. Let me prove it to you with the way your body's responding right now. The tension that lived in your jaw, where is it? The knot between your shoulder blades that you rubbed every night before bed, is it loosening? The shallow breathing that had become your default rhythm, notice how it is already sinking deeper into your lungs without any effort from you. This is not placebo. This is power. And it is the same power that raised dead bones in a desert valley and told them to stand. Now here is where I need your deepest attention, because what I am about to say is the hinge on which everything else swings. The expectation of loss that I just named, it did not only affect how you received blessings, it changed how you prayed. Think about it. When was the last time you prayed with genuine expectation? Not hope. Expectation. Hope says maybe, expectation says it is already on the way and I'm making room for it. You used to pray with expectation when you were younger, before the disappointment stacked up and taught your heart to lower the bar. I watched your prayers shrink over the years. Not in frequency, you still showed up, but in boldness. You stopped asking for the big things. You started hedging. You added qualifiers. If it is your will, if the timing is right, whatever you think is best. And those words sound spiritual, but in your mouth they were armor. They were your way of pre-accepting the no before it arrived, so the sting would be smaller. Tonight, I am stripping the armor off your prayers. You do not need it anymore. The season that taught you to brace has ended, and the season I am walking you into rewards, boldness the way a field rewards seed. The bigger the ask, the bigger the harvest, because I respond to faith in proportion to how far it reaches. A prayer that reaches for the minimum receives the minimum. A prayer that reaches for the fullness receives the fullness. And I am tired of watching you settle for crumbs when I set a banquet. My child, I want you to take a moment right now to consider supporting this divine mission through Ko-fi. The work you are hearing tonight is carried forward by the hands and hearts of those who believe it matters. When you visit the link in the description or the pinned comment, you step into more than a transaction. You step into a partnership with heaven. Whether you choose to join as a member of our community or plant a seed through a one-time donation, you become part of the chain that carries this word to the next person sitting in the dark tonight, wondering if God has forgotten them. Every act of generosity you sow into this mission becomes a lamp that lights another room. And the same God who is restoring you tonight watches over every seed you plant and returns it multiplied into soil you have not even seen yet. Visit Ko-fi through the link in the description or the pinned comment. And let your giving become the first fruit of the season I have just declared over your life. Now breathe, because the hardest confession is behind you and the deepest healing is ahead. What you just felt was the root moving. It did not come out silently, because roots never do. They disturb the soil as they leave. If emotions surfaced that felt raw or unexpected, that was disturbance, and it was healthy. The ground is being cleared for what I am planting next. Let me show you the difference between the old cycle and the new one, because your mind needs to understand the architecture of what is changing so your heart does not keep defaulting to the old blueprint. In the old cycle, you were the builder and the building. You laid every brick with your own strength, and when you ran out of strength, the construction stopped. Progress depended entirely on your energy, your cleverness, your ability to push through pain and still produce results. And when your body broke down, your provision followed, because the machine had one engine and that engine was you. When you stopped, everything stopped. And the terror of that truth is what kept you working on days your body was screaming at you to rest. The new cycle operates on a completely different power source. In the new cycle, I am the builder. You are the one who lives in what I build. Your strength is welcome, but it is not the foundation. Your effort is honored, but it is not the engine. The engine is my faithfulness, and my faithfulness does not get tired on Thursdays. It does not call in sick. It does not run out of motivation halfway through a project. It runs at full capacity from start to finish, because my energy has no peak and no valley. It is constant. This means that your weekdays no longer determine your outcomes. In the old cycle, a bad week meant a bad month. A health crisis meant a financial crisis. Everything was chained together because everything depended on the same fragile center. In the new cycle, you can have a terrible Tuesday and still walk into a miraculous Wednesday, because the outcome is not powered by your Tuesday. It is powered by my purpose. And my purpose for you was written before your worst day ever happened. I need you to understand this deeply, because the old cycle trained you to panic whenever your body sent warning signals. A headache triggered fear about your ability to work. Fatigue triggered fear about your ability to provide. And that fear sent more cortisol flooding through your system, which made the pain worse, which increased the fear, which further damaged the body. Do you see the loop? The enemy designed it as a trap, and you walked in it for years without seeing the edges. Tonight I am showing you the edges, and once you see a trap, you never fall into it the same way again. The next time your body aches, and bodies do ache even in healthy seasons, you will not spiral. You will not catastrophize. You will say, "This is weather, not climate." My provision does not depend on how my knee feels today. My future is not hostage to my migraine. And you will mean it, because the new foundation holds even when your body shakes. Type this declaration and press it into the atmosphere like a seal into wax. I am no longer the engine. God is the engine, and his engine never stalls. Let every word land with authority, because you are not reciting a wish. You are ratifying a transfer of power that is already underway. Now listen carefully as I address something specific inside your body, something you have not spoken about to anyone. There is an area of persistent discomfort that you have started to accept as part of your identity. You wake up with it. You fall asleep with it. You plan your activities around it. And somewhere along the way, you stopped believing it could change. You just absorbed it. The way a house absorbs the sound of a ticking clock until no one notices it anymore. I notice it. And tonight, I am silencing that clock. Not gradually, not eventually. The healing I am initiating in that specific area of your body will proceed with the same precision I used when I told a fig tree to wither, and it obeyed before the next sunrise. Precision is not cruelty. It is accuracy. And I am accurately targeting the source of your discomfort, not the symptom, the source. The place where it began years ago when stress first took residence, and your body agreed to host it without knowing the cost. The cost has been paid. The lease is terminated. And what does not belong in the temple of my child must leave when the owner speaks. Your body is continuing to respond even as I speak about provision, because the two healings are running on parallel tracks. Notice how the tightness in your back is not where it was 10 minutes ago. Notice how the pressure behind your forehead is shifting. These are not coincidences. These are signatures. I sign my work the way an artist signs a canvas, and my signature is peace where there used to be tension, and warmth where there used to be cold. Now I must name the second chain, because the first one was the expectation of loss, and removing that alone would leave you standing with open hands but no idea how to use them. The second chain is your relationship with receiving itself. And this one, my child, is the chain that has cost you more than you realize. You were trained, not by scripture, but by survival, to believe that receiving is dangerous, that every gift has a price tag hidden underneath the wrapping paper, that accepting help means owing a debt you might not be able to repay, that resting while others work makes you a burden rather than a beloved child. These beliefs did not come from me. They came from seasons where trust was punished, where generosity turned into leverage, where someone offered you bread and then used the crumbs to control you. I understand why you built those walls. They protected you. And I will never shame you for building something that kept you alive during a season when you had no other shield. But the walls that protected you in the wilderness will suffocate you in the promised land. Because promised land, living requires open arms, open doors, and a heart that does not flinch when my goodness walks through the threshold. Tonight, I am teaching your heart to receive without bracing. This is not a lesson you will learn in 1 hour, but the first crack in the wall is happening right now, and once the first crack appears, light enters, and light does not stop at the first crack. It finds every fracture, every gap, every place where the mortar is weakest, and it fills them all. By the time the light finishes its work, the wall that took years to build will fall without a single hammer being raised against it. Receiving is not laziness. Let me say that again because your work ethic fights against this truth with everything it has. Receiving is not laziness. It is the posture of a child sitting at a table their father set. The child did not buy the groceries. The child did not light the stove. The child did not set the plates. The child simply sat down when their father called them and ate. And no father in the history of fatherhood ever looked at his child eating the meal he prepared and thought, "That child is lazy." A father looks at that scene and thinks, "This is why I cooked. I cooked for you. The table is set. Will you please sit down and eat? Will you stop hovering in the doorway, counting the cost of the meal, calculating whether you have contributed enough to justify your seat? Your seat was never earned. It was given. And the only insult you can offer a generous father is to refuse what he prepared because you have not forgiven yourself for being hungry. I am also renewing your mind tonight, because a healed body and a full table cannot serve you properly if your mind is still running the old software. You have been thinking like a survivor. Every thought process begins with risk assessment. Every opportunity is filtered through the question, what could go wrong? Every good day is evaluated not by how good it was, but by how long the goodness might last before it collapses. That operating system is being uninstalled. I am loading new patterns into your cognition, patterns of a steward instead of a survivor. A survivor asks, "How do I get through this week?" A steward asks, "What is in my hand and what is it for?" A survivor braces for impact. A steward prepares for increase. The raw material of your life has not changed, but the lens through which you see it is being replaced tonight. And you will barely recognize your own thoughts by the time the new lens settles in. You will start noticing opportunities that were invisible to the survivor's eye. The steward sees $1 and asks where it can be planted. The survivor sees $1 and asks how long it will last. The steward sees a free hour and asks what can be built. The survivor sees a free hour and collapses from exhaustion. You have been collapsing because the survivor lens only knows 2 modes, fight and crash. The steward lens has a 3rd mode, build. And that is the mode I am activating inside you right now. If something stirred deep inside your chest as I spoke those words, a sensation that is neither sadness nor joy, but something older and truer than both, stay with it. That is the sound of your original identity waking up. the identity I designed before any wound reshaped it, before any betrayal rewired it, before any loss convinced it to shrink. The original you is still in there, and tonight she is hearing her father's voice calling her by the name she was given before the world gave her a different one. Type this final declaration with everything in you. I am not a survivor anymore. I am a steward of everything God is placing in my hands. Let those words become the anthem of your new season, because what you call yourself determines what you attract. And stewards attract abundance the way rivers attract life. And subscribe to this channel right now if you feel the ground shifting beneath your old identity. Because every message that comes through this channel is designed to water the seed that was just planted in your spirit tonight. Now, let me speak to the practical texture of what your new season will feel like. Because faith without detail is fog. And I do not deal in fog. I deal in blueprints. Your mornings will change first. You will wake up one day soon and realize that the dread that used to greet you before your feet touched the floor is simply not there. Not because the circumstances changed overnight, but because the lens through which you see them has been replaced. The alarm will ring, and instead of bracing, you will stretch. Instead of running a mental inventory of your problems before your coffee is ready, you will sit with me in the quiet of the first minutes and listen for instruction. And I will give instruction, because a steward who shows up for briefing never goes into the day unarmed. Your energy will stabilize. Not in a dramatic burst that burns out by noon, but in a steady current that carries you from morning to night without the crashes you have become accustomed to. The fatigue that used to ambush you at 3 p.m. will lose its grip, because the adrenal system I am resetting tonight will stop dumping emergency chemicals into your bloodstream every time a minor stressor appears. Your body has been treating every inconvenience as a threat, and threats require adrenaline, and adrenaline requires recovery, and the recovery never came because the next threat arrived before the last one was processed. That conveyor belt is being dismantled. Your nervous system will learn slowly and then suddenly that safety is not a brief window between disasters. Safety is the new climate of your life, and weather will still come. But the climate, the baseline, the default is peace. Your sleep will deepen. The hours between midnight and morning that used to be filled with calculations and rehearsed conversations will become genuinely quiet. Not because I silenced your brain by force, but because a mind that trusts its shepherd does not need to patrol the perimeter all night. I am your night watch. I have always been your night watch. And I give to my beloved ones even while they sleep, building, arranging, positioning, so that when you open your eyes in the morning, the world has moved in your favor while you rested. Your finances will follow a pattern you have not seen before. Bills that used to arrive with terror attached will arrive as manageable items on a list you can address without hyperventilating. Expenses that used to swallow your entire margin will shrink in proportion to the new flow entering your life. And you will begin to experience a sensation that has been foreign to you for years. Surplus. Not just enough. Not just barely making it. But a margin between what you need and what you have. A margin wide enough to breathe in, to plan within, to dream inside. That margin is my gift to you, and it is not a one-time bonus. It is a structural change in how provision flows into your household. You will move from borrowing to lending, from asking to answering, from surviving to building. And the building I am talking about is not a metaphor. Some of you will literally begin constructing things, businesses, ministries, projects that will outlive you and continue producing fruit in the hands of your children's children. The steward mentality I am installing tonight is not just for your benefit, it is for your legacy. Because I think in generations, and what I plant through you today is designed to feed people whose names you will never know. Pay close attention to the thoughts that come to you in the next few days. Not every thought is your own. Some of them are mine, planted deliberately, timed precisely, because wisdom does not always arrive as a thunderclap. Sometimes it arrives as a quiet idea during a shower, a gentle pull toward a conversation you have been avoiding, a sudden clarity about a decision that has been cloudy for months. Those are not random firings of neurons. Those are divine directives, and the steward who recognizes them gains years of progress in a single obedient step. Right now, I need you to think of at least 3 people who are carrying the kind of weight you just learned to set down. The sister who rubs her shoulders every morning but tells everyone she is fine. The friend who stopped talking about her finances because shame closed her mouth. The neighbor who smiles at you from across the fence while hiding pain she cannot name. Those people need this word tonight. Send it to them right now. Forward it to your family group chat. Post it in your church WhatsApp group. Or text it directly to the woman whose face appeared in your mind the moment I said 3. This bread was not baked for one mouth. It was baked for a table. And you are the one I chose to set it. Do not despise the day of small beginnings. I watched the first stone of Solomon's temple being placed into the earth, and I rejoiced over it, long before there was a single wall or a golden roof. The first stone is not impressive to the human eye, but to the architect who sees the finished blueprint, the first stone is everything. It means the building has begun. And once I begin, I finish. That has been my record since the foundations of the world were laid, and I have no intention of breaking that record with you. Here is your charge for today, and I need you to hold it like a coal in your hands that will not burn you but will keep you warm through every cold night ahead. Stop living as though the best parts of your life are behind you. They are not. The richest chapters have not been written yet. The deepest joys have not been tasted yet. The strongest version of your body has not arrived yet. And the fullness of your provision has not even begun to show its face. You are standing at the beginning of your greatest season, not the end of your last one. And everything I have spoken tonight is the down payment on a promise I intend to fulfill with interest. I want you to walk differently after tonight. Not arrogantly, but confidently. There is a posture that belongs to a child who knows their father is wealthy and generous and incapable of lying. That posture does not apologize for existing. It does not shrink in the presence of abundance. It does not whisper its prayers or mumble its dreams. It speaks clearly, stands firmly, and receives openly. And tonight, I am fitting that posture onto your shoulders like a coat that was tailored specifically for your frame. Be kind as you rise, because kindness is not a weakness. It is the watermark of genuine power. A hand that can give without losing is a hand that truly has. And you will discover, as every faithful steward before you has discovered, that generosity and prosperity are not enemies fighting for the same territory. They are partners. The more you give, the wider the channel becomes. And the wider the channel, the more provision flows through it. This is not a formula to manipulate. It is a law of the kingdom, and it has never been broken. Guard your tongue as your season changes, because your words are the tool I gave you to establish agreement with heaven. If I declare healing over your body and you declare sickness over your body, we are in disagreement. And disagreement creates turbulence where there should be smooth flight. Speak about your health as though it is being restored, because it is. Speak about your provision as though it is growing, because it is. The tongue carries the power of life and death. And those who choose life repeatedly will find that life becomes their accent. It will color every sentence. It will flavor every conversation. And people will hear something different in your voice, even before you explain what changed. Be patient with those who knew you in the old season. They built a picture of you based on the chapter they witnessed, and changing that picture takes time. Do not argue your transformation. Live it. Evidence speaks louder than explanation, and the evidence of a changed life is the most compelling sermon ever preached. Some will adjust their picture quickly. Others will hold on to the old frame for months. Let them. Your assignment is not to convince everyone. Your assignment is to keep walking in the direction I pointed you tonight, and let the fruit speak when the fruit is ready. Protect this season with discretion. Not everything I am doing needs to be announced. There is a wisdom in holding sacred things quietly until they have had time to take root. A seed does not invite spectators to watch it germinate. It does its deepest work underground, in the dark, in the silence, where only the gardener and the soil know what is happening. Let your roots go deep before you show the world your branches. Because a tree that grows tall before it grows deep will fall in the first serious wind. Now hear me as I speak the final decree over your life, and let every word land like an anchor into the ocean floor of your soul. This is the most important passage in everything I have spoken tonight, and I need you to receive it standing. If not in body, then in spirit. You have not been forgotten, not for a single heartbeat, not during the longest night, not during the emptiest morning, not when the phone did not ring and the mailbox held nothing but bills, and the mirror showed someone you barely recognized. I was there. I was counting every tear you thought evaporated unseen. I was recording every prayer you thought bounced off the ceiling. I was building in the invisible what I am now manifesting in the visible. And nothing, no force in heaven or on earth or beneath the earth, can reverse what I have decreed over you tonight. Listen to what I speak over your body. Strength is returning to your frame. Rest is returning to your nights. The inflammation that overstayed its welcome is being evicted by an authority it cannot resist. What was drained is being refilled. What was tense is being released. What was frightened is being calmed. I know every nerve. I mapped every vessel. And the same hand that sculpted you in the beginning is restoring you now with the same precision and the same love. Listen to what I speak over your provision. The river has reached your door and it will not dry up. Doors ahead of you are already unlocked. Help will arrive at the exact hour your strength runs low. You will learn to hold, to grow, and to multiply every good thing that enters your life. You will move from deficit to surplus, from anxiety to strategy, from grasping to giving. And the table I am setting for you will have room not just for your needs, but for your dreams. Listen to what I speak over your identity. You are not a victim of your history. You are not a prisoner of your pain. You are not defined by the chapters that broke you, but by the author who is rewriting them. You are my child. You carry my name, and my name does not lose. It does not fail. It does not arrive late, and it does not make promises it cannot keep. Everything I have spoken tonight stands. It is sealed. It is signed, and it has already begun to move. My child, as I bring this word to a close, let me gather everything I have placed in your hands tonight and seal it with the blessing that no darkness can undo. You came here tired, and you are leaving restored. You came here worried about your table, and you are leaving with a river that has no end. You came here bracing for loss, and you are leaving with a foundation that cannot be shaken. Hold these gifts tightly, but hold your heart openly, because the season ahead will pour so much goodness into your life that a closed heart would have no room for it. Share this message with everyone in your circle who needs what you just received. Forward it to your family group chat. Post it in your church group. Place it on your Facebook timeline where the people who know your story can see that the next chapter has arrived. You are not just a listener tonight. You are a messenger. And every person who hears this word, because you shared it, becomes another life I can touch through your obedience. I invite you to visit Ko-fi through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether you choose to join our community as a member or sow a single seed through a donation, you become part of the team that ensures this word reaches the next person who is sitting where you sat 1 hour ago. Every contribution, no matter how small, is a stone laid in the altar of a mission that heaven watches over with fierce attention. And the God who multiplied 5 loaves into a feast for thousands is the same God who multiplies every seed you plant into this work. Join us, stand with us, and let your generosity become the bridge between your blessing and someone else's breakthrough. Subscribe to this channel right now and turn on notifications, so that every time the Lord sends a fresh word through this space, it reaches you without delay. This is an ongoing conversation between heaven and your life, and I do not want you to miss a single installment. Now bow your head with me, and let the final words of this night be the ones that carry the most weight. Father, I bring this child before your throne tonight, wrapped in every promise you have spoken. Seal the healing that has begun in their body. Let every joint know rest, every nerve know calm, and every system that was running on emergency power switch back to the rhythm you designed. Seal the provision that is flowing toward their house. Let the river run steady and deep and clean, and let nothing divert it or dry it up. Seal their identity as your child, your steward, your beloved. Remove the last fingerprint of the old season from their thinking and replace it with the blueprint of the new. Walk with them into tomorrow morning, and every morning after that, and remind them with every sunrise that what you started tonight, you will finish. In the mighty name that is above every name, I seal this word. Amen and amen.